is up, everyone? It's your girl Brain Shanae, and today I am finally doing a book review for this amazing, beautiful book that Brandon Sanderson has provided us and shared it with all of us in the world. And of course, I'm going to be talking about Tress of the Emerald Sea. And let's just go ahead and get into this book review because it's just going to be a complete rant. So as you can see, I am one of his backers. When he announced that he was going to do these secret projects, Brie and I, we were doing Brandon Sanderson for like reading his books, his adult books, all through of last year. So we read all of his books. We read Mistborn, Air 1, Air 2, Wormbreaker, Stormlight Archives. We just read them all, and we just fell in love with Brandon Sanderson and his exquisite and extraordinary writing. And we were just so happy when we finally got our book in the mail. And it took me a minute to pick it up because I had other things I was reading. And when I finally got to it and read it, I was blown away. Now, I hybrid read this, and what that means is I not only read the book, but I was listening to the audio as well. And I'm just gonna let y'all know there's gonna be spoilers. I don't know how else to review this book without spoilers. But with this, I wanted to listen to the audio, which Brie from Brucery Reads, she influenced me to do so. And because I wanted the audio, the reason why is because this story is told by Hoid. And Hoid is just this amazing, fun character and just amazing storyteller within the Cosmere world. You will see Hoid pop in and out of a lot of Brandon Sanderson's books, starting with Mistborn Air 1 and Mistborn Air 2 and so on. He's known by many different names, like many names. You got Wit, Hoid, and he comes up in his books in the most weirdest times and weirdest circumstances, where he's like a beggar, or he's poor, or he's like a chauffeur and stuff like that. So just for Hoid to be telling this story about Tress and of the Emerald Sea, I just found it fascinating. And he also talks about himself within this book. So I thought that was that's Hoid for you. That is completely Hoid. Hoid is one of my favorite characters of all, because he's just funny, and the way he talks and the banter, I just loved it. And so he talks about this girl named Tress who lives on the rock, they say, in this particular book. And she falls in love, and she loves cups, by the way. She loves cups. She collects cups. I'm like, okay, I'm definitely fall in love with Tress. And then she falls in love with the king's son, or the duke's son, and his name is Charlie. And, since he is a noble, he has some obligations and to, marry somebody who will help influence, their power or whatever. But he really liked Tress, and he's like, you know what? Don't worry about me. I'm just going to be boring. That way no girl will like me or whatever, and I could just return to you. And Tress never fully explained or expressed how much she cared for him and just loved him in general, until one day they come back and Charlie is nowhere to be found, and she's wondering, where is he? She wants to finally express her true feelings for Charlie. Come to find out, a sorceress has taken him away, and this is Tress. Tress doesn't like to do anything out of the ordinary. She has a routine on a regular basis. And for some reason, she has this motivation of stepping outside of her bubble and is going to save Charlie from this sorceress. And when I first thought of that, and before I even read how this inspired Brandon Sanderson to even write this, it gave me vibes of The Princess Bride. And then when I looked into, what inspired Brandon Sanderson to write this, it's because it is inspired from The Princess Bride. And Brandon Sanderson mostly wrote it for his wife, because he's like, well, what if Buttercup didn't just stand around and just took it as, oh, he's dead, he's never going to return, to the point where, no, I'm not taking that as an answer. I want to find out for myself. And she goes to venture off and try to find it. What if Buttercup had did that? So for Wesley. So hence we have this book, and it was written, and I am so happy and just amazed that Brandon Sanderson decided to write this and as put it as his secret projects, because that was something he wasn't even intending to do in the first place. But he graced us with this book, and I just want to say thank you so much, Brandon Sanderson, for doing that, because this is a fantastic book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, of course. So she ventures off to try to save Charlie. And so she comes upon this ship. She's like, okay, how am I going to get on this ship and try to convince them to help me get to the sorceress and save Charlie. So she came up with a few names and like a disguise or whatever, saying she was this. And then she happens to come upon this rat, a talking rat, mind you. Yes, there is talking rats in this book. And I was like, okay, I got you, Brandon Sanderson. And I loved it. I loved the aspect of this talking rat, and his name was Huck. And so he's just been like her day one into trying to help her and trying to get her where she needed to be, and get her more involved with the crew on the ship and stuff, as she's trying to figure a way where she can convince them to go to find this sorceress and where she's located, etc. And come to find out, Hoyd is the one who knows where the sorceress is, but he is cursed. He has a spell upon him where he can't say anything regarding the sorceress or where she is located. And as she's on this ship, we have the captain, who is a woman. Her name is Crow. And she just, I don't know. I didn't care for the captain. I didn't like the captain at first. For a reason, I was like, okay, it's fine. But then I was like, no, I don't like you. And another thing, a part of this book, is there are these spores where they can kill you. They have all these different types of spores and all that. I'm like, okay, I see you come up with some more stuff. I'm feeling it. So the captain was like, you know what? I'm just going to sell you off to this dragon, and at the Crimson Sea. So we have the Emerald Sea, which is where Tress is from and stuff like that. And then we have the Crimson Sea, and we have the Midnight Sea or whatever. So the captain takes Tress to the Crimson Sea to convince the dragon to take her and to serve him and to finally get Tress off of her ship. But Tress, she is pleading her case to this dragon, saying, no, you do not want me as your servant, because I will do whatever it takes to leave you and to escape your presence in order to save Charlie, which is my main goal and purpose, and to save him from the sorceress. And he's like, the sorceress? And immediately you knew that the dragon was even scared of the sorceress to begin with, because she's just this badass sorceress. Like, she's the shit. So he's like, you know what? You played your case very well. I will keep the captain as my servant and she will serve me. He was looking at it also from the aspect of she's been eating spores, so she was dying. And the only way to keep her from dying and to save her life was for her to remain with him, because he would help her, to live on and to be immortal, pretty much. Since Tress pleaded her case on why the dragon shouldn't want her, she became the captain. And I was like, wow, Tress is really starting to bloom and come out of her shell. She used to be the girl where she just stick to her daily routine, didn't want to do anything out of the ordinary, was just loved her cups and stuff like that, and that was it. Now it seems like she's this whole entire different person, and you just love her character as she becomes even more developed throughout the story. And then we learn more information about Huck and what his true identity is, and that is what got me. I'm like, wait, what? Oh, so it makes sense. Like, I really loved how like Brandon Sanderson gives you these Easter eggs and stuff, and also it makes you want to know more about the character and how it's not so obvious at first, and the reveals that he provides for us. I loved every single moment of it. I loved Tress and how she became the woman she is. She wasn't no little girl or whatever. She became into a woman and realized she wanted to live her life with Charlie, but to not stay on this island, the rock or whatever, and just have a normal plain life. No, she wanted to have an adventurous life. And so I fell in love with this wholeheartedly. If you haven't read this book, I highly recommend it. It's already out in the world, so you definitely can pick up your copy, or you can listen to the audiobook, which is on Spotify only. You can't listen to it anywhere else. It's not on Audible or nothing. It's literally on Spotify. So I love this entire adventure, and like I also loved the detail of what he did with this particular book for his backers. And I just loved all the just look at it. It took a lot of time, and I do appreciate the patient, you know, I was being patient enough for to get this book, because as he was explaining it on his updates on his YouTube channel, you know, he was telling us details about what the book is and the gilding and the colors. And so I really do appreciate this. I appreciate the end papers, and then the, like, just look at the colors. And as like, if you have this book in particularly, it changes colors. So this is the emerald, and then it goes into a red when they come when they're at the Crimson Sea, where the dragon is located, which, let me see, give you an example. So this is when they get to the Crimson Sea. So from emerald to crimson, you could tell how this is green and this is red. So that is the Crimson Sea. And then it gets to being black as they approach the Midnight Sea, if you can see right here. So like, I loved every single moment of this book. I have no complaints whatsoever. I loved Hoyd. He is hilarious. He's always been, like I said, my favorite character, and he's just hilarious. And I just love this picture of how Hoyd is pretty much overtaking the sorceress and protecting Tress right here. So I do love this picture. It's like one of my favorite pictures of images in this particular book, and I just fell in love with it wholeheartedly. I love the ending. I'm really excited for the next secret project. I know that some people had some questions, or they were a little like about it, but I'm just ready. I'm ready to read more by Brandon Sanderson. He's been giving us updates with his Stormlight, with the 5th book of the Stormlight Archives of the Stormlight series, and I'm really excited for that when that comes out, which I believe next year. So I'm really excited about it. But this book takes you on a wonderful journey, and getting to know all these different characters and personalities, and with Huck the talking rat, with Hoyd, with Captain Crow, with Ulam, you experience so many different characters, and the world building, the way Brandon Sanderson does with his world building is just amazing. It's always fleshed out, and you feel like when you read his books, you feel like you're in that world yourself, especially when you listen to the audiobook with Michael Kramer's voice, which I do love. I love Michael Kramer as the narrator. And so I fell in love with it. Here is Captain Crow right here. So I just loved every single moment of it. This will definitely be another book that I reread. And this was just a fantastic and fun time. I really don't know what else to say, but how I really loved Tress, and I really loved Hoyd. And then, I don't know, there's something about Tress that I just loved, of just like life lessons of how it's okay to step out of your comfort zone, in order, you know, just for, even if it's just for a moment, because who knows how that might change you, and to change the way you think and how you look at life. And that's what I took mostly from this book as far as Tress, because I find that very inspirational. I find ways where books can be life lessons and inspirational. Especially, I feel like Tress is a great example of just stepping out of your comfort zone, stepping out of your bubble, and you will find new things and start to love new things, and to find more new people to be part of your life, and create new friendships. And that's what you will get. You will get a full, wholehearted adventure with Tress and with all the characters within this book. But like I said, I highly recommend that you pick it up, and you don't want to miss out on this, because it is just so fun. And I just loved it so much. And I'm glad that Brandon Sanderson was inspired to write this, especially from watching The Princess Bride. And so literally after I read this book, I watched The Princess Bride because I love The Princess Bride. It's such a classic, and he made this book into a classic, in my opinion. I know some people may think differently, but this will end up being a classic for me at least. I feel like it should be, especially since it was inspired by, you know, from The Princess Bride. And like even on the back it says, in the middle of the ocean there was a girl who lived upon a rock. This was not an ocean like the one you have imagined, nor was the rock like the one you have imagined. The girl, however, might be as you imagined, assuming you imagined her as thoughtful, soft-spoken, and overly fond of collecting cups. And literally her whole character just transforms, and she's just amazing. And for her to even become a captain, like think of it from the beginning part of this book, where she was stuck into her bubble and then eventually ends up being a captain of a ship. Like that is progress, right? That's a lot of growth. So like I just loved it. But yeah, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm sure a lot of people have already read this book, but I just had to give my 2 cents. I just had to give it. I had to, because I fully, wholeheartedly love this book. It's like one of the top reads that I've read so far in 2023. I'm creating a list right now for the end of the year, and this book is on that list. So like I said, go ahead and read this book. Read Brandon Sanderson. His books are amazing, especially with the world he has created. Like if his books gets adapted, which I do believe he has hinted to us that that's what he's currently working on, I am here for it and I am so excited. But anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this little rant and book review. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Also hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified when I upload more videos in the future. But thank you all for watching, and I hope you are staying healthy and staying safe. See ya.